All right, welcome back to Flagstaff, Arizona, everyone. I'm just out for a little ride, popping out of the coffee shop for a little work session this afternoon, and we've got lots to catch up on here. So I thought I'd go for a little ride and share some of the updates with you all and let you know what I've been up to, and also what we've got planned in less than 2 weeks now. This is very exciting. I'm about to embark on my first real big journey on the new CF Moto Ibex. So let's start by going back a couple weeks. You all saw that I spent some time in Colorado at the Ice Core Lab, but also I managed to sneak away for a couple of little trips while I was out there. First thing I did was I spent about 24 hours in the area around Cedar Rapids, Iowa, so that I could zip over to the high point of Illinois, Charles Mound. That was a rather interesting little trip. I also managed to hike up Pikes Peak very early in the hiking year for Colorado, so it was very snowy, which made for an interesting trek up the mountain, and sadly also a fatal trek up the mountain. I posted a quick little video about how I crossed paths with another hiker on my ascent. Real nice guy from New England, New Hampshire area, Maine area, and we crossed paths as I was coming down and he was still going up the mountain. And I found out later that at the summit, just off the summit, he slipped on some snow and didn't survive the fall. It's the first time I've ever been personally affected by a death on a 14er, so it was just a little bit kind of eye-opening and shocking. It made me really appreciate just how dangerous these mountains are, even for somebody like me that's done 56 of them. You're never truly safe up there. If you make one mistake, it can really backfire and cause a lot of problems. And so the bottom line is, if any of you are watching this and you're going to hike 14ers, always respect them. If there is any hesitation, or if there's any forecast for bad weather or for bad conditions, do not just wave it off and think, I'll be fine. Like, really consider the risks involved, because one small mistake is all it takes. Now, there's two big things that have happened in the last few weeks that I haven't talked to you all about yet. So I'm going to give you some brief summaries on those two things because I don't want to bore you. The first thing that I want to share with you all is that I completed an adventure that I've been wanting to do for many years called the Cayenne to Crest, or the Hole to Hump route in Arizona. So this is a route that's been around for, I don't know, about 30 years, since someone first did it in the early 90s. And it involves starting at the bottom of the Grand Canyon at the Colorado River and running, hiking, walking, however you want to perambulate in one continuous push all the way from the river up to the rim, and then all the way to Mount Humphreys, or Humphreys Peak, just north of Flagstaff, which is the highest point in Arizona. So you're essentially doing a low to high. I'll give you the quick 2-cent summary. A friend of mine agreed to sort of support me and crew me on this trip, and so she dropped me off at the top of the rim on a Friday evening at about 4 p.m. It was a forecast very hot day, so I started at about 4 p.m. I got down to the river right at 6:30.
All right, here we are at the river, starting our Cayenne to Crest. It is 6:30 p.m. I'm starting up, probably get to the top around 10 p.m.
And then promptly turned around and headed right back up the same trail I came down. Very difficult trail, hard to follow in places. I got off course a few times, very overgrown. I saw 2 black widow spiders that I almost stepped on. I saw a scorpion that I almost stepped on. Very steep and treacherous in places, much more steep gradients than on the Kaibab Trail. A lot of like on all fours type scrambling. Just a very gnarly trail, and add to that there's no water on it at all, and I was doing it at 7 p.m. while it was still probably in the 90s outside. So I was climbing in 90-degree heat in the desert, dodging venomous animals and running out of water. I was in pretty rough shape considering how good of shape I'm in right now with all my training. It really screwed me up that hot day in the canyon. So by the time I got to the rim, it was dark. My support person met me right at the road at the top. I chugged a whole bottle of Gatorade, ate some food, refilled all my waters, and then I felt much better after that. And then basically put my iPod in, my iPod Shuffle, which I still use, and turned into the woods on some dirt forest roads, and then just ran. And I ran for miles and miles down these beautiful forest roads in the dark during a new moon, so it was really dark. There was very few animal sounds. It was almost kind of like surreal and spooky, running for 8 hours in the dark in these northern reaches of Arizona with no signs of life. It was really cool. It was like running on the moon or something, until the sun finally came up when I was about, I don't know, 25 miles north of Flagstaff, and I crossed what's known as the Rev'It ranches. So these are privately owned lands, but they're open to public recreation. So I crossed the Rev'It ranches. I went under this amazing large-scale wind energy project farm. So there's this huge facility on the Rev'It ranches of wind turbines, and I walked right underneath them. It was really cool. Trotted along there for a while until eventually I reached one of my caches. And so what I had done was I had placed strategically some water drops and some food drops along the route the day before, so that I could hit them at specific mile markers and refill my waters and my food. And so that's exactly what I did. As I made my way down the course, I hit 2 of my resupply caches and was able to top off my waters and drink and get all my food. And I got back to my car, which was parked at the base of Snowbowl, which is the base of Humphreys Peak, at about 3:30 p.m. the following day. And then I started up the mountain at about 3:30 p.m. As most people were coming down the mountain, I was still going up. And there was still a little bit of snow and ice on the trail up at the higher elevations. Hit the summit right at 6:30, exactly 24 hours after starting. Stopped my watch, celebrated my completion of the hole to Hump, canyon to Crest. But then I realized it's not over. I still got to hike 5 miles back down to my car before I can finally actually call it a day. And so I had to turn back around and also hike an additional 5 miles on the back end to actually get back to my car. So I didn't finish the entire adventure until about something like 9 p.m. The next really exciting bit of news I have as far as adventures was just this past weekend. I drove back up to Lake City, Colorado, which is about a 9-hour drive from Flagstaff, and it's up in the San Juan Mountains. And I went back there to run a race known as the San Juan Solstice, or the Lake City 50. So it's a 50-mile race, but it's all in the mountains at high elevation. You go up to 13,300 feet at one point on the course. It's essentially like a miniature hard rock is what I like to call it. So it's a very slow course, it's a very technical course, very high altitude course, difficult course, but absolutely breathtaking, stunning scenery. And I'd been wanting to do this race for many years, and last year I put my name in the lottery and I got selected, and I was so excited. I was very thrilled to be running it. I trained very hard, and then about 3 weeks before the race I went on vacation to Spain, and I got sick on the way back, horribly sick with a really bad stomach bug of some kind, and still not sure what it was, but I got tested for all sorts of parasites that I might have picked up when I was in Morocco or something, and I almost didn't run the race, and I decided to run it while I was still sick, and it was probably one of the worst race experiences I've ever had. It was really bad. Somehow I still managed to finish with about 10 minutes left in the time cutoff. So there's a 16-hour cutoff at this race, and I finished in 15:49. So I almost didn't make it, and I was so frustrated by this. And yes, I got the finish, but I didn't really get to see the course. So I told myself I wanted to run it again. and really experience the course. And so I threw my name in the lottery again, definitely not expecting to get selected 2 years in a row, and I got selected again, and showed up at the race on Thursday, just last Thursday, and Friday morning I was feeling great and started the race. And what's great is, you know, my partner came with me, and we brought the dog, and so she got to hang out with the dog, and we had a great day. We had a great couple of days in Colorado, and the race went absolutely perfectly. About 5 miles into the race, I had a decision I had to make of, do I want to race this race hard, or do I want to kind of dial it back a little bit and just have an awesome, pleasant day in the mountains and just not be worried about time so much, but just enjoy the course and the scenery. And I decided to go with option 2. So I kind of dialed back my pace a little bit, and for the rest of the day I just had a grand old time. No pain, no struggle. I was just moving along at a great pace, comfortable, and I enjoyed the entire day on the course. And we had perfect weather, no storms, no lightning. There was some snow fields we had to glissade down, and there's this one part on the course at mile 36 where you crest this dirt road, and the crown of Uncompahgre Peak pops up over the horizon, and it's this beautiful, gnarly 14,000 foot peak that just looks like this shark fin. Oh, it was so cool. And oh man, I was just so stoked the whole day. So I had a wonderful day, and I finished in 14:37, so an hour and 23 minutes ahead of the cutoff, and over an hour faster than last year, and I couldn't be happier. And today, here we are a few days later, and I'm gonna go out for a run tonight. I feel no pain in my legs, no fatigue, which is how I know that I ran it super easy, because I don't feel sore at all. I'm gonna do a little turnaround here, because we're starting to get kind of far from home, and I wasn't planning on going this far. Oh, this bike turns so much easier than the Himalayan. Now, looking ahead, the big news coming down the pike here for me is that me and the new girl, which I still haven't named yet, we are headed to Colorado in less than 2 weeks, which is really exciting. So everything is on for my trip up to the mountains on the motorcycle for my 4th moto camping trip to Colorado. This will be my first one on the new Ibex. I've done 3 on the Himalayan. The plan for this year is we are going to tackle the last 2 of my Colorado 14ers. Very exciting, but also I'm a little anxious given the nature of the 2 that I have left. And along the way, we're going to be visiting some really cool places. We're going to go to dinosaur footprints. We're going to go up through Monument Valley. We're going to do the Moki Dugway again. We're going to do Horseshoe Bend. We're going to do Muley Point and some really cool meander bends. We're going to come down through Silverton, pop in for the Hard Rock race, which is happening that weekend. Potentially volunteer a little bit at the aid station, and then make our way back through Four Corners, through Navajo Nation, and back home. Hope you guys are all enjoying your summers as well, and getting out and exploring. Please do find some time to go explore, and maybe someday we'll cross paths on some random trail or wave at each other on motorcycles as we pass each other by, going over Wolf Creek Pass in Colorado or something. So alright guys, well that's it. I've blabbed on long enough. Take care. Please be safe out there. I can't stress that enough. And we'll see you out there. Bye.